Hey everybody out there, YouTube, how we doing today? Just out for another walkabout, I guess, a little hike to build some conditioning and get outside. Definitely a hot one today. Definitely feeling it. Heats out. But topic has been eating at me about the last couple of weeks, and this morning I saw another video. It was probably, I think it was back in January it was made, and it's just about the common talk about without rule of law, and what they also determine the end of the world as we know it, and which all is likely possibilities, and economic situation, everything changes, and you talk about a one world government and all these other things that could possibly happen. But the negative attitude everybody takes about it has really been eating at me, and about well, what are we prepping for? It kind of seems like it's going to be just going that way. Everybody thinks it seems like they're going to be able to go to their tree to bug in and be self-sufficient, and that's going to be the end of it. And I've just got a different take on it, and kind of a direction I'd like people to think about. I know a lot of people are doing it already, and to a certain extent, but it doesn't seem like it's being very prevalent. And what we should really be thinking about going forward after whatever that event is that causes everything to pretty much collapse and to implode to the extent that we're expecting. So it's not the rule of law, but one way I look at it is that those as preppers, or people that are preparing and are prepared or self-sustaining, or in any way thinking forward, we are the ones that will establish whatever comes after that. Short of technocratic government, that technology takes over or whatever, and just eliminates people or whatever, that scenario. But if there's to be anything afterwards, it's going to have to come from the people that are prepped, at least in America. I won't look beyond that, out beyond our borders. But in our United States, we're the ones who are going to help establish whatever the society develops. And I think everybody in the prepping community seeks to is liberty-minded, and I hope they are. And that's what they, hope nobody wants to be a dictatorial power or anything like that. Hopefully they're all seeking to be live with each other and let each person live among their own means, and that we have a certain amount of rule of law, to where you don't go on, you respect other people's lives and property, and everything else is pretty much come and go as you will. And I think we would all look forward to living someplace like that. And I think a lot of the despair I see on YouTube lately discredits all of that. That there is nothing. Everybody's going to go out to their bug out location and wait. They're talking about sustaining for over a year, and then you're on your self-sustaining after the year, once you've got all your supplies went through and the different plans people have. And I just think that what we need to look at is preppers are the 3%. They are the ones who are going to establish the society, or reestablish the republic, if that's what it comes to, once this all collapses or does collapse. Because if we think we're just going to go out there and everything's going to economic collapse, the grid goes down, and everybody just goes back to 1500s, I don't see how anybody else would want to live like that. Whether it's you're talking about people implementing feudal systems and dictatorships and all these other things, and I don't think anybody would accept that. And we shouldn't accept our children looking forward to that. And we can almost be guaranteed that if, say, an event only happens in America and the rest of the world is relatively untouched, they're going to come over here and try to take what we've got. And that's something to be prepared for. But we would be the ones that would be out there establishing new systems and communities, keeping your community strong. We always talk about having your local community and getting involved with them and seeing how everybody can prep as a community is the best, and that is absolutely ideal. And if you're preparing for the future, you should go out and get involved and lead communities, be leaders, be out there talking to your local county sheriff in particular as the lead law enforcement to hopefully prevent a lot of the without rule of law situations before they come your way. we don't have to rely on the federal government. We shouldn't be relying on the federal government. And to a large degree, we shouldn't rely on the state's government. Your local county, city, sheriff, police. And I know for a lot of you, that's kind of irrelevant because you know it's a corrupt system that you live in. A lot of these big cities are pretty much taken over. But once all that collapses, you got a network that can get together, and you have the foundation to build that back up, to restore order, to prevent a lot of the crimes against other people. You just got to be even-handed about it, and who knows how we'd all respond. Especially somebody says, okay, we're here to establish, some order. It'd be kind of rough, but we got to go forward. We got to at least attempt it, and to do those things. And that's where you talk about your different organizations, from the Oath Keepers to the different organizations about the Republic, Sons of Liberty, all kinds of different organizations you can get involved in, or start yourself in your local community, just among people to get them, your local church, see if everybody's of like mind, and get them thinking, hey, if things go bad, we need to be able to get reorganized and control the situation. Because one, we don't have chaos in our own neighborhoods. I'll run the helicopter just a second. There's a brush fire nearby. There's a water source right here, so they're using that to get water from the fire, I believe. But using those local community groups to establish order and keep the rule of law in your local community, so that it is not complete chaos as soon as possible, as soon as that can be reestablished. Not accepting that just everybody outside your little compound or outside your little square that you've established is going to be chaos. I don't think we want to pass on a life like that to our families. So something to think about, and it's really been eating at me these last couple of weeks. I've been watching different videos talking about that rule of law and stuff, and people just talking about going on other people's property. If it comes down to it, it's survive or not. Talking about, somebody comes on your property, trying to take what you want, and there's very little sharing mentality. Everybody's like in it for themselves, which to a certain extent I understand. Other people didn't prepare. They're tough luck for them. But to a certain extent too, we want to pass on a society that is better than what we're leaving or what we live in now. Where people do care about each other, something more our grandparents and great-grandparents had. And I think that's what we'd all rather have. And the only way that's going to happen is if we build it and make it happen. And it's going to be painful and hard, and that's going to require some sharing and some compassion to a large extent for a lot of people. And, people's eyes are going to open up, when they aren't prepared. And I think a lot of people are going to be willing to work and willing to do a lot of things. They're just not going to have a lot of resources. And we're going to have a lot of that. So just some thoughts. It really is disturbing when people talk about just shooting anybody who comes on their compound or their property, or they're talking about, just complete disregard for that common, any type of morality that I think most people in the prepper community have. So I want to counter some of those videos, and that, a lot of people talk about shooting first, asking questions later. You should always be asking, hey, how you doing? What can I help you with? Where are you headed? If obviously if they're in a bad situation, they got 20 people, you may not be able to help them out. But you can guide them in the right direction, just shouldn't start shooting at them, opening up. I don't think anybody would want to do that. I hear a lot of people talking about it. And it's going to be different when the real time comes. I think a lot of people won't be able to do it if it actually came down to it, but they're talking about it and giving other people bad ideas. So that's my thoughts on that. Just, we need to be ready to reestablish or keep the rule of law in your local community, and so it doesn't devolve into a bad situation that is perpetual in nature, just total breakdown. It doesn't have to be that way. There's a lot that's been built in this country that's good, and we can keep a lot of things going after the formal government is gone to keep our local communities strong and the rule of law intact. We may not have electricity, but at least we'll have be obeying. I mean, if Daniel Boone could go around and they can have what they had, and people the liberties and freedoms, sure that we can keep that in our communities too, with just some common courtesy and keeping some morality about us, instead of just accepting that it's a free fire zone. It sounds like some people want. So my thoughts. Hope we get to talk to y'all later. By all means, comment, and subscribe if you would, and we'll talk to you later.